A dietitian catches her boyfriend cheating on her at the very restaurant she'd reserved to celebrate their anniversary. Seemingly armed with a kitchen knife, she absent-mindedly forgot to leave at work. A cop tackles her to the ground and briefly arrests her, but quickly releases her when she explains herself. At work, she decides the best revenge is to serve her boss's lunch straight to her boyfriend's face, but she holds back, however, opting to confront him calmly. Before she can say anything though, he says he wants to break up with her because he's bored. She lets him know that she's aware of him cheating on her, but he sarcastically compliments how good the food he just had at the restaurant with the other woman was. She ends things with him, but when she exits the elevator, although furious, she somehow blames her demanding schedule for leaving her with no life outside work. A night out, however, leads to a one-night stand with a man she'd just met at a bar. When she wakes up, she quietly leaves the man's apartment unnoticed, but forgets her name tag and only realizes this at work. Her boss, as always, returns his meals untouched, leaving her frustrated yet again. But when he calls her to his office, she's shocked to discover he's the man from the previous night. She takes back her name tag, and assuming she's about to be fired anyway, she gives him a piece of her mind, even telling him not to be so picky about the meals he's given. Wanting nothing to do with him, she's oblivious to the fact that her boss has already fallen for her. Meanwhile, the dietitian's ex doesn't take kindly to her growing closeness with their boss, as he happens to be the boss's secretary. This is the storyline from a writer's novel which suddenly skyrockets in popularity. Amid all this success, however, a relentless hater consistently leaves cruel, degrading comments online, and these quietly fuel the writer's spiraling depression and anxiety. Fed up with him, she takes legal action and sues the hater, who quickly apologizes in person. His apology falls on deaf ears as she throws his apology letter back at him, and without holding back, she tells him off like he'd been constantly doing to her. A truck barrels down towards him when he leaves, narrowly missing him. In shock, the writer suddenly faints, and this unconscious state leads her into her web novel Spice Up Our Love, which is also the title of this K-drama. She finds herself in the dietitian's body, but when she realizes that her beloved lead character, the one she'd made to depict her real-life crush, is now being played by none other than her nemesis, panic sets in, and she runs off desperately looking for a way out. To make matters worse, she has absolutely no control over her body in critical scenes, and she helplessly endures each second as every scripted moment she wrote play out, with no clue as to how the world she created actually works. In this spin-off drama, the second lead characters from No Gain No Love take center stage, elaborating on an incident that happened in the original series. They deliver great on-screen chemistry, and actress Han Ji-yeon effortlessly switches between the roles of the writer and dietitian, delivering a performance both authentic and seamless. Whilst the writer's stuck in her novel, we get a clear sense that when she writes, she draws inspiration from her own life, particularly her painful childhood growing up in an abusive family. If you haven't watched No Gain No Love, however, the inventive storyline may somewhat seem constrained by the two-episode format, as the rapid pacing leaves some plots rushed and underdeveloped. Still, if you're a fan of fantasy dramas that cleverly blend humor and romance, then Spice Up Our Love is definitely worth the watch.